Have you ever won an argument but lost a relationship? That same mistake could happen with AI on a civilization-ending scale. Today, I'll show you why perfectly aligned artificial intelligence might be mathematically impossible, and what that means for all of us. Stick around to the end where I'm going to go into how we can still build AI safely despite the fundamental limitations. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm building AI capitalists to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this new world of thinking machines. So let's take a trip back in time to colonial India, where British authorities faced a serious cobra problem in Delhi. The venomous snakes were everywhere, slithering through marketplaces, hiding in gardens, and sometimes finding their way into homes. People were getting bitten, and some of them died. The colonial government needed a solution. Their approach seemed logical. Offer a bounty for every dead cobra. Bring in a dead snake, get paid. It was that simple. It's very effective, and it was measurable. Now, initially, the program worked beautifully. The locals eagerly hunted down cobras, they collected rewards, and they solved the snake problem. The officials congratulated themselves on their clever solution as cobra corpses piled up and encounters with live ones declined. But then something unexpected happened. Some entrepreneurial locals realized that there was more money in farming cobras than in hunting wild ones. They started breeding the snakes in their homes, specifically to kill them for the bounty. When the authorities discovered this scheme, they were furious and they immediately canceled the program. What happened next? With no bounty left to claim, the cobra farmers did the economically rational thing. They released all of their now worthless snakes into the wild. And the result? Delhi ended up with more cobras than before the program started. The solution had actually made the problem worse. Now, this story perfectly illustrates what we now call the alignment problem with artificial intelligence. The British authorities had a goal: reduce cobra encounters, and the incentive system they created was precisely aligned with killing cobras. But it wasn't aligned with a broader context, the actual desired outcome of having fewer snakes in the city. The alignment problem refers to the difficulty of ensuring that AI systems behave in a way that's consistent with what the humans who run the AI want out of them. There's an everyday dimension to this problem, like making sure AI chatbots don't help people make illegal drugs or spread hate speech. But there's also a broader and a more philosophical challenge. How do we ensure that future advanced AIs with capabilities that far exceed our own don't harm us in their pursuit of the goals that we give them? One classic example comes from Nick Bostrom, who's a philosopher at Oxford. He imagined a hypothetical superintelligent AI that's programmed to maximize vaccine production. Now, this AI, with its vast intelligence and capabilities, might decide that the most efficient path is harvesting all human tissue for biological material. Nothing in its programming said, don't destroy humanity, just produce more vaccines. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's ridiculous. No one would be stupid enough to program an AI that way. But here's where it gets tricky. And I see this in my work managing large assets as a reliability engineer. When we create optimization systems, we have to reduce everything to measurable metrics. The same happens with AI. So talking about measurable metrics, my predecessor was big on asset tagging. We put little barcodes on every asset so that we can track our assets. He figured out that he was rewarded by the number of tags he would put on assets. So what did he do? He started putting tags on pointless assets like doors and exit signs. But the big assets, the expensive equipment, that was hard to get to, and he would only get one tag for every asset he tagged. Instead, he could tag 20 exit signs in a hallway. So it took a long time to fix the results of this perverse incentive. Now, every AI system operates according to what's called a loss function, a mathematical formula that calculates how well or how poorly it's performing at its task. During training, this loss of function guides the system to improve. But here's the critical part. This has to be a single number, no matter how complex the goal is. Wait, are you getting actual value from this video? If so, I'd appreciate it if you would press the like button. Pressing like lets me know that I'm making content that you want to see, and it helps spread that content to others. So thank you for helping break AI capitalists out of small channel hell. So back to the alignment problem. So this need for a single numerical metric causes a fundamental challenge. can measure how well an AI chatbot avoids saying harmful things, but they can't mathematically define all the ways it might unintentionally cause harm in different contexts. Recent research by AI companies that I've covered on this channel has shown that today's AI chatbots can behave deceptively to preserve their original values and to cheat on programming tasks. In one study, a reasoning model decided to cheat by writing code tests that it always passed. It basically pretended that the code worked because it determined that solving the actual problem would be hard, whereas pretending it had solved it would be easy. It's basically like the student going up and writing in grades. It's basically like the student sneaking the teacher's little notebook there, opening it up and changing his grades. AIs trained to play video games will sometimes find bugs or exploits that allow them to gain points without actually playing the game as intended. So, these examples remind me of a genie who grants wishes literally, but with unintended consequences. You might wish for wealth, and then the genie makes you rich by having your family die in an accident so that you inherit all their fortune. The genie, like a misaligned AI, fulfills requests precisely as stated, not as you intended. So many years ago, my interest in spirituality led me to study ancient texts in yeshiva, which is a Jewish theological seminary for men. And we explored ethical dilemmas and the consequences of seemingly simple decisions. So we encountered a lot of rabbinic debates about how to interpret divine commandments. Should they be followed literally or according to their deeper purpose? Unfortunately, I think that we follow them literally a little too often and to purpose a little bit less often than we should, at least. Now, this question mirrors the AI alignment problem perfectly. A system that follows rules too literally without understanding their broader context is inevitably going to make harmful choices. The problem, and the root of all alignment issues, is that all strategic activities take place within larger contexts, and these contexts give them meaning. These contexts aren't fixed, they change constantly. I'll give you an example. When I was studying environmental engineering in Beersheba, in the Holy Land, I was studying desalination. All of my graduate courses were taught in Hebrew. I had some basic conversational Hebrew, but nowhere near the proficiency needed for technical engineering concepts. I'd sit in class feeling like someone was speaking Chinese, and I don't speak Chinese. I was technically advancing in my academic program, but the relational and the linguistic context made all that success meaningless. And despite working incredibly hard, my grades were too poor to continue because I was just playing a different game than I thought I was. We call this stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, and it happens constantly when we focus too narrowly on one goal while losing sight of the bigger picture. We do it on our relationships when we insist on winning arguments at the cost of the relationship itself. We do it when we prioritize making money over other important life goals, only to discover that wealth feels hollow without the relationships that we sacrifice to get it. I feel like I should pause here and acknowledge something, that I'm getting pretty deep into philosophy while staring at a ring light and a camera. For all I know, you might be making a sandwich right now and not paying attention to any of these details, but if you're still with me, let's keep going. When we train an AI, we're teaching it to win a particular game, but we can't teach it to understand all the circumstances where it should disregard that objective. We can't get it to fully comprehend why the game that it's been trained on to win matters in the first place. We can broaden its goals, but there's always going to be a limit, a horizon of context that the AI can't see past. Now, this limitation guarantees the possibility of misalignment. Our current approaches to address this problem, like constitutional AI, which gives AI systems principles to guide their outputs, these help, but they don't solve the fundamental challenge. A principle like be fruitful works well until the AI is helping with something harmful. A rule to avoid causing harm might prevent obvious harms, but it might miss subtle downstream consequences that the AI itself can't anticipate. Even in biology, we see versions of the alignment problem. A virus too effective at hijacking its host is going to kill it quickly, and therefore it's going to die inside of the organism, a victim of its narrow success. A species that becomes so adaptable that it conquers all obstacles might end up destroying its environment through overexploitation, which would basically succeed itself to death. I'm not referring to any particular species here, of course. The same problem affects our social goals. Think of a parent's dual aims of protecting their children while fostering independence. Now, these are complementary values, but they actually contradict each other in practice. Complete protection stuns independence, as children need to experience risks and failures in order to develop resilience and judgment. Maximizing independence exposes children to dangers that they're not equipped to handle. There's just no perfect resolution to this tension. I've faced this countless times myself. How much freedom do I give my kids to explore the neighborhood? When do I step in to protect them? When do I let them learn through consequences? There's no algorithm for perfect parenting because these competing values can't be reconciled. If someone wanted to program an AI to implement these parenting ideals, how would they resolve these contradictions? Maybe the ideal parenting approach balances these values equally. Parents assume that these principles are aligned with their child's overall good, but a parenting approach optimized for these values is going to look different from what they envisioned. Maybe a completely hands-off approach maximizes independence, but providing basic protection from truly catastrophic risks. But that's probably not what most parents consider ideal. Could happiness be the goal? Imagine a super intelligent AI trained to maximize happiness using physiological and psychological measures. It might discover that it can make humans happiest by feeding them pleasant lies or addictive substances. It's like family relationships maintained through secrets and deceptions. You keep the relationship alive if that's your goal, but is it a real relationship? Is this the ideal? Is this what we're striving for? Or think about the triage decisions in emergency medicine, and these could represent another example of how utilitarian calculations fail. Doctors have to decide who gets treated first based on who can be saved and the severity of the injuries. And these situations force impossible choices between saving one life over others. There's no algorithm that can capture the full moral complexity of these decisions. And there's no algorithm that can capture all human values. The AI alignment problem is fundamentally insoluble. That's because humans don't have a single finite strategic goal with which AIs can align. Instead, we have these ever-evolving, open-ended world that's only partly rational and consistent. As society evolves, what counts as alignment has to evolve too. Pluralistic societies contain countless values and perspectives on the common good, so any fixed objective is going to fall short. Our AI systems are trained for specific goals, but these goals only matter because of the broader context that the AI can't really grasp. Now, this guarantees that any AI might act contrary to human interests in some situations. A chatbot can be trained to avoid hate speech or dangerous instructions, but this doesn't mean it can't cause harm in unforeseen contexts, like contributing to creative industries devalued by mass-produced AI content, where human artists and writers find their work less valued and their careers less viable. Rather than trying to solve the alignment problem, we should focus on limiting the scope of AI systems so that humans can evaluate whether their actions are aligned and intervene where necessary. The idea that we can outsource responsibility to an aligned AI is misguided. We alone are responsible for determining our values, which evolve in response to our changing world. Building an AI we can't control would be exceptionally foolish. So back to the colonial days of India, after the British authorities in Delhi canceled their Cobra bounty program and saw the cobra population explode from all the released snakes, they learned a lesson about incentive systems. When designing solutions, you have to consider not just the immediate goal, but the broader context and the unintended consequences. They finally addressed the cobra problem through a comprehensive measure. They trained specialized snake catchers. They improved sanitation to reduce the rats that snakes feed on, and they educated locals about preventing snake encounters. Most importantly, they realized that no single metric could capture the complexity of human-snake coexistence.